Today on Personal Injury Court.
You are suing for $158,000.
Her two big, ferocious dogs just came up to us and just attacked us. They were biting my arms. They bit my legs. He clamped down on my leg, Your Honor. He just started shaking it all violently.
They were trespassing on my property.
From a physical standpoint, this could be a death case.
Absolutely.
And he punctured a hole in my leg. There was blood everywhere.
This is a nightmare.
Judge Gino Brogdon spent 10 years on the bench ruling on cases worth billions of dollars. Now he presides over some of the largest claims in TV history. This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Williams versus Anderson. Ms. Williams, you are suing Ms. Anderson for injuries that you sustained when her dogs attacked you on her property. You're asking this court to award you $68,000 for your medical expenses, $90,000 for your pain and suffering, for a total award of $158,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Anderson, you believe that Ms. Williams was a trespasser. Her injuries are her fault, not yours, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Tell me how you got to Miss Anderson's property.
Your Honor, I have an 11-year-old son, John. He is absolutely amazing. One day we were watching a documentary, and he saw that there were other kids in our country who go hungry. And he has such a heart of gold. He was like, Mom, I have to do something. So he decided to start a charity, an 11-year-old kid.
You're doing something right with that boy.
Oh, yeah. I'm so proud of him. And, you know, I just had to help him. I felt a little weird about, asking people for money, but I decided to go ahead and help him. So, we live in a great neighborhood. I figured, why don't we start right here in our neighborhood? And Miss Anderson, she's one of my neighbors.
And that's how you ended up on Miss Anderson's property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Anderson, this is a dog attack. Tell me about your dogs.
My dogs are very good dogs, sir. They have been raised from puppies. They are huskies, and they're black and white. Those are our dogs at this time.
Beautiful dogs.
Beautiful dogs, yes, sir. They're very loyal and devoted, and we love them very, very much. They're just like our kids.
So are they pretty good-tempered dogs?
They are. They're very good and tempered. Even-tempered as well. They just...
Except the day that they attacked us.
Ladies, I'm glad you did that, because we're not going to do that today. You're going to talk to me today, okay? All right. Now, Miss Williams, tell me what happened.
Your Honor, Mrs. Anderson's house was the last house that we were going to. We were walking, up to the front of her house. We knocked on a door, expected somebody to just open the door.
And your little boy is with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and out of nowhere, her two big, ferocious dogs just came up to us and just attacked us. I mean, they came full speed towards us. I mean, they were, gritting their teeth, and they just started biting us. They were biting my arms. They bit my legs.
So what did your little boy do?
Luckily, I was trying to protect him, but he ran away and he got in my car.
So he wasn't hurt?
No, well, he left me there because I was trying to protect him.
Yes, ma'am.
And I had one dog on one arm, the other one was on my leg, and one of them, his mouth was like foaming at the mouth. He clamped down on my leg, Your Honor. He just started shaking it all violently, and he punctured a hole in my leg. There was blood everywhere.
I'm really sorry this happened. This is a nightmare. This is one of my nightmares.
Yeah.
Miss Anderson, where were you when this happened?
I was at the back of my house doing my laundry. I had the radio playing. It was pretty loud. And I went up the hall to go to the restroom. I went to the door. I opened up the door, and that's when I saw Miss Williams on my stoop with her dog, with my dogs, which was horrific for me because my dogs have never jumped the fence. They've never come out the gate. They've never attacked anyone. But
so what did you do when you heard her?
I was screaming, I was yelling, I was trying to pull the dogs off of her, and then I blew my dog whistle that I have around my...
To come out there, Your Honor. Another neighbor had to call 911.
Wait a minute, I was talking to
Talk to me.
Speak about this.
I ended up in the ER.
We're gonna have order in this court. I'm not gonna do this all day. Y'all talk to me. So you tried to pull your dogs off.
Right.
And you said something about a whistle.
Yes, sir. I have a dog whistle that I wear around my neck, and I blew the whistle 2 toots, and that brings the dog to my side immediately, and the dog came in.
Why would your dogs attack someone?
They had to have been provoked, sir. They had to have been. You know how kids are.
Because
they
they're vicious.
antagonize dogs. They'll
Because
pick at
they're
them.
vicious.
They will
That's how
pull
Talk
their
to me.
tails.
So, did your little boy do anything to provoke these dogs?
No, he did not.
What
Your
was he
Honor.
doing?
We were just simply walking up to the door. We had been to 10 other houses in the neighborhood with no problem. We had other houses that had dogs. They didn't attack us. They just came out of nowhere and attacked us.
They were trespassing on my property. My dogs went in protective mode of my home. They were
Protective
frightened.
what?
Talk to me.
We were
So sorry.
Now, y'all,
They were
I'm not gonna
frightened.
wrestle with you today. Talk to me.
Your Honor, can
Yes,
I say
sir.
something?
Here's what I want you to do, because this is very important to you, and I respect that. I know you're in a lot of pain. I'd like you to take your time, come over to the plasma screen. This is the front of Miss Anderson's house.
Yes.
And I want you to show me exactly how this happened. Take your time.
We were just walking. My son and I were walking. We came up right straight to her door. We rang the doorbell.
Yes, ma'am.
And all of a sudden, the dogs just came out and attacked us.
Where did they come from?
We have no idea. They just came right up on us. I wasn't expecting it.
And before you knew it, you had dogs on you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can go back to the podium.
Coming up,
Tell me about your injuries. I see the lacerations on your face.
They bit me on my arms, my legs. My face is ruined, Your Honor.
They were trespassing on my land. As you can see on my house, I have a sign that says, "Beware of dogs."
Did you see that sign, Miss Williams? This court has consulted Dr. Samantha Brown Parks.
So dogs are especially equipped for biting. They have large teeth to the side called canine teeth that actually puncture into flesh. They tend to latch on and move their head, which causes tearing.
We rang the doorbell.
Yes, ma'am.
And all of a sudden, the dogs just came out and attacked us.
They were trespassing on my property. My dogs went in protective mode of my home.
Miss Anderson, you've raised these dogs since they were puppies, right?
Yes, sir.
Have they ever been aggressive or tried to bite anybody?
No, sir, never. And they've never jumped a fence, never went out the gate. They were trespassing on my land. As you can see on my house, I have a sign that says, "Beware of dogs."
Did you see that sign, Miss Williams?
No, Your Honor. But even if we did, beware of dog, okay, I won't go towards the fence. I wasn't even anywhere close to the fence.
Beware of dog says, "Beware of dog." That is to keep strangers out from coming to my house.
But you said trespassing, and it wasn't like they climbed over the fence and tried to get in the back of your house,
No.
right?
No, sir. But they're good dogs. They're very good dogs, sir.
Except for this day.
Well, I take them to nursing homes. They visit my seniors over
After
at the
this?
senior club.
You take
They
your
have
dogs
been
to
before
nursing
that.
homes?
My
After
dogs are
this?
good dogs.
Your
They have
dogs
done
are
that.
vicious dogs. Your dogs are unpredictable and dangerous.
Miss Williams, you're asking this court to award you $68,000 for your medical expenses. Tell me about your injuries. I see the lacerations on your face and that your arm is bandaged.
Your Honor, they bit me on my arms, my legs. My face is ruined, Your Honor. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to even go to the store. I get panic attacks.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm on medication right now, depression, because my esteem is just broken.
So
I
sorry.
have all kinds of medical bills. I can't afford this stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what it's going to take to fix my face. Psychologically, those scars are unrepairable to me, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. In every personal injury case, there's always this aspect of the psychological impact of an injury, especially when it's facial injuries. Now, I see that you're asking this court for $90,000 for your pain and suffering. I understand why now.
Your Honor.
I didn't mean for it to happen.
I can see this pains you, but despite tears comes responsibility. If you're gonna have an animal, you gotta be responsible. To better understand the nature of your injuries, this court has consulted Dr. Samantha Brown Parks to explain it to us. So, Sheriff Matt, will you get Dr. Samantha Brown Parks?
Yes, Your Honor.
next.
Your Honor, I have something else I'd like to. I did my own research about Miss Anderson's dogs.
Sheriff Matt, will you get the documents from Miss Williams? This court has consulted an animal behavior expert.
The dog comes at me and immediately he grabs an arm. They have one weapon, that's their mouth. But what they want to do is bring you down, bring you to the ground. In their mind, they're helping to neutralize the threat at that point.
Her two big, ferocious dogs just attacked us. And they just started biting us. They were biting my arms. He clamped down on my leg, Your Honor. He just started shaking it all violently.
To better understand the nature of your injuries, this court has consulted Dr. Samantha Brown Parks. Doctor, the kind of wounds on Miss Williams's arms, how do dogs do that much damage?
So dogs are especially equipped for biting. They have large teeth to the side called canine teeth that actually puncture into flesh. They tend to latch on and move their head, which causes tearing in addition to the puncturing.
So that's why her arm is ripped up like that.
Absolutely. Dogs can be quite dangerous, and it's in their genes to attack a prey.
From a physical standpoint, this could be a death case.
Absolutely.
How are these dog bites treated?
We look at the wound and see if the edges can be approximated or brought together. If they can, we'll stitch them up and hope that they repair back into their original position. Occasionally, there's so much tearing that the two edges don't come together, so they misalign. If this happens, we'll put in some loose sutures along and then let it kind of scar in or granulate in on its own.
Doctor, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You are
Thanks for
relieved.
having
We
me.
appreciate you. Miss Anderson, do you see now the damage that your dog's created?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is a bad situation for Miss Williams.
Your Honor, I have something else I'd like to. I did my own research about Miss Anderson's dogs, and
Okay.
I have something. I subpoenaed their medical records.
Sheriff Matt, will you get the documents from Miss Williams? Thank you, sir.
Because I couldn't understand why
best.
they just attacked us out of the blue. So I went online and I read that dogs who are not neutered, especially adult dogs, they have a higher propensity, a higher chance of being aggressive. And clearly, Miss Anderson's dogs were aggressive. You can see right there.
Where it says neutered, both of them, it says no.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you know that your dogs were not neutered?
Yes, sir, I do.
Why didn't you neuter your dogs?
Because we wanted to breed them. They're two purebred huskies, and I've never read anywhere where it says that your dogs will be aggressive if they're not neutered.
To better understand the behavior of dogs, this court has consulted an animal behavior expert,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Greg Smith Aldridge. Sheriff, will you get Mr. Smith Aldridge in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good day, sir.
Hey, Judge, how are you?
Welcome.
Thanks very much.
Can you tell us what prompts a dog to attack?
Well, a dog can attack for a number of reasons. Most of them are rooted in fear. There's also possessive aggression. These are the most common ones. Possessive aggression being the protection of something like its property, something that it deems to be its home, its human family, food, any resource that it thinks is important. There are also reasons like to establish dominance or frustration over something it can't get or get to, but those are the most common ones. I brought a video actually that shows what happens when somebody intrudes upon an animal's territory. As soon as the guy comes in and the dog is aware that there's an intruder there, you'll see the dog here in a second come around and immediately attack the guy. This is usually what happens. There's not a lot of warning here. The dog goes right to it. He's protecting his home, protecting his property. This is most commonly what happens when a dog attacks.
Now, is there a certain way that dogs attack?
Well, there's not just one way, but I actually bought a video of my dog. He's trained to attack, and you'll see here, the dog comes at me, and immediately he grabs an arm. They have one weapon, that's their mouth, so they're gonna grab an appendage, whatever they can get their mouth on first. But what they wanna do is bring you down, bring you to the ground. In their mind, they're helping to neutralize the threat at that point.
Sir, in this case, Miss Williams claims and frankly brought documents to show that Miss Anderson's dogs were not neutered. Does that play into the dog being aggressive?
It can, it certainly can. I mean, like a dog's testicles are the main source of testosterone. So once you take that away, you're lessening the amount of testosterone in a dog's body. It can play into it. If that dog has an aggressive nature from an early age onto maybe the age of 2, and you neuter it at that point, it's not gonna make much of a difference.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. You are released.
All right. Thanks very much, Judge.
I think I've heard what I need to hear, and I'm ready to render my decision.
The verdict is in.
Here, you put up evidence that Miss Anderson's dogs came out of nowhere and attacked you and your son. You were there for the right reasons, doing the right thing, and this should have turned out right for you, and it did not. Now, Miss Anderson, you raised these puppies to dogs. They never showed aggression before. You can't understand why they attacked on this occasion. You did not have the dogs neutered, but that's not necessarily a sign that your dogs will be aggressive.
They bit me on my arms, my legs. My face is ruined, Your Honor.
They were trespassing on my land. As you can see on my house, I have a sign that says, "Beware of dogs."
In every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove three things. You, Miss Williams, you have to prove that Miss Anderson was wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing is that her wrong caused your harm. You have proven your harm. Here, you've put up evidence that Miss Anderson's dogs came out of nowhere and attacked you and your son. Fortunately, he got away, but you did not. Being a good mama, you took all of the brunt of this attack and saved your little boy. And I know you don't feel good now, but you should feel good about that because you saved his life. Your son and you were also there on a very noble mission. I simply don't buy this stuff about a trespasser. You were there for the right reasons, doing the right thing, and this should have turned out right for you, and it did not. Because it did not, and you've got these terrible injuries, you want Miss Anderson to pay for it because you believe it is her fault. Now, Miss Anderson, you raised these puppies to dogs. They never showed aggression before. You can't understand why they attacked on this occasion. They got out of your fence, but you still are kind of baffled that this even happened.
Yes, sir.
You did not have the dogs neutered, but that's not necessarily a sign that your dogs will be aggressive. The principles of land ownership apply to this case. As a landowner, you've got to make sure that you are attentive to dangers on your property. If that danger is presented by the presence of a dog, you've got to make sure that you're attentive to that dog. If that dog has bitten someone or shown aggression, you are dead wrong and you are responsible for anything else that happens. The law is a one-bite rule, however forgiving. If the dog's never been aggressive before, on the first bite, you are not responsible.
Oh my God.
Here, there is no evidence that these dogs were ever aggressive before this, and despite how much it pains me, the law requires that I find against you because Miss Anderson did not have notice that the dogs would be aggressive. So I find in favor of the defendant and breaking my heart, but against you, and that is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Cooper versus Jenkins. Mr. Cooper, you are suing Miss Jenkins for injuries that you sustained when her dog bit you at her house while you were providing a service. You've asked this court to award you $18,000 for past medicals, $12,000 for future medicals, $250,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $280,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Jenkins, you claim that you gave clear instructions as to what Mr. Cooper was supposed to do, and had he followed those instructions, he would have never met your dog, true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's get into the legal sauce. Now, what kind of service were you providing to Ms. Jenkins?
I'm a HVAC repairman, sir. Air conditioning and heating.
Yes, sir. How long you been doing that?
About 10 years now.
What led you to provide service at Ms. Jenkins' house?
I work for a company, and I was out doing another service call. I just put in an air handler. And the dispatcher gave me the work order for Mrs. Jenkins.
And what were you supposed to do at her house?
She just said the AC doesn't work. To tell you the truth, a lot of times I don't know what I'm in for.
Miss Jenkins, so you had a hot house.
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And you needed him to come and make it cooler.
Exactly.
Tell me about that day.
Well, Your Honor, my air conditioner was out, and it was very, very hot. There was a heat wave, and it was unbearable for me and my family. So I called an air conditioner company just to see if they can get an air person out. And they said yes, so I made the appointment for him to come out. And so just to stay cool, I went to stand by the pool until he came.
So, Mr. Cooper, when you arrived at the house, what happened?
Well, I was supposed to text the customer, and I did, and I got a text back, and they told me where to park, and usually they tell me where to come in. I got a text that said, go through the door on the left.
And who sent that text to you?
I believe it was her son.
Tell me how you got injured.
I pulled up into the driveway like they asked me to, and I pulled under some trees because I didn't know how long I was going to be there, and if I'm there late or whatever, I want to eat some lunch, I don't want to be in
Yes, sir.
like under the blazing sun, so I parked under the trees, and I looked, and they said, enter through the door on the left. So
okay.
I looked over to my left, and there was a door. And, the front door is there, too, but I haven't once been welcomed yet in the front door of somebody's house because I got tools, and I got grease and, everything on my boots, and they don't want me to walk right through their front door.
Had you ever been to Miss Jenkins' house before this day?
No, never.
So what happened?
I go and I start looking around, and usually... there's an outside door, and this is just usual, and there's an outside door, and I walk into it's either a room or a small garage or a mud room or whatever, and then there's another entry door.
Okay.
And there's been so many times that I'm banging on that one door, and nobody comes out, that I've just, naturally, since I was there for a work order, I would now just start going inside, and I'll knock on the inside door.
Okay.
So I go and I shut the door, and I start moving towards the other door, and I hear a noise, and next thing you know, I got this dog. It latches onto my arm. My tools drop. I mean, the thing was ripping. I never heard flesh rip before, but I'm sitting there, I'm pushing on the dog, and it's ripping, and finally, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I felt bad for the dog because I punched it in the head, and it let go of my arm, and then it grabbed a hold of my leg and pulled a piece of flesh off my shin.
Are you kidding me?
So then I kick it off my leg, and then it jumps back on my arm again. It was horrible. I thought, well, this is where I'm going to die.
So this dog was mauling you?
Yeah, I couldn't get it off of me.
And you thought you were going to die?
I was pretty sure because by that time I had blood in my eyes, and I couldn't see the SWAT or nothing. I was sure he was going for my neck.
I guess if you went down to the floor, this could be a death case.
Oh,
Miss Jenkins, is your dog capable of killing somebody?
Not at all, Your Honor. Not at all. My dog is not vicious, Your Honor.
What's your dog's name?
My dog's name is Pancakes.
Pancake.
Yes.
Okay, he looks like a good guy.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing.
And you raised him from the time he was a puppy?
Yes, I raised him from the time he was a puppy, and I got him professionally trained.
Okay.
Yes.
You had a trainer work with him?
I had a trainer, yes, because I needed him for protection, Your Honor.
And this is Pancakes as a little guy?
That's my baby. Oh, yeah, that's Pancakes.
Now, Mr. Cooper, that's not the dog that bit you, right? Not that little puppy, it's the other one.
No, that's the dog. And everybody's acting like, the poor little dog. She said he had the thing trained. That thing is trained to kill.
I did have him professionally trained. You just didn't follow instructions. That's what it was.
Miss Jenkins, how did you know something had gone wrong?
Okay, actually, I heard a noise from by the pool, and I was like, okay, what's going on? So I went in, and I saw Mr. Cooper bleeding all over my carpet, and I was like, okay, basically, so I attempted to call the ambulance and to get some towels to help him.
He must have been bleeding a lot for you to get towels.
He was bleeding, but you know what, Your Honor, I believe he provoked my dog, because at the end of the day, if Mr. Cooper wouldn't have walked through the wrong door, we wouldn't be in this court right now.
I mean, if they say I didn't follow specific instructions, if they were specific, they would have said, go through the front door.
You say he went to the wrong door. How would he know what door is the right door or the wrong door?
My son texted him the instructions on which door to go in, and I brought the evidence.
Yes, ma'am. You've submitted that to the court.
Yes,
Let's take a look at it. Could you read your son's text, Miss Jenkins?
This is Peter, your AC technician. I'm on my way. Where should I park? You can park in the driveway. Go to the door on the left. Copy that. Be there in 20 minutes. That's what he texts back.
Mr. Cooper, do you remember receiving this text?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Jenkins, you submitted a diagram of your home.
Yes, sir.
Walk me through this right door, wrong door issue.
He was supposed to park in the driveway, get out of his car, go to the door on the left. My dog is secure here because we have him secure, you know, from the neighbors and everything else.
Yes, ma'am.
But since he didn't follow instructions, apparently he couldn't read, he parked in the wrong place.
I can follow instructions, I can read, but I'm not a mind reader, okay?
Okay, but
You
so
say,
if you're
go
not a
through the
mind
door on
reader,
the
you
left.
can't read.
There's 2 doors
You
on the
cannot
left.
read. You're such an idiot, and you
should have
can't
been-
read.
I appreciate you all having a conversation, but 2 things have to happen. You got to talk to me, and we will not insult anyone in my courtroom.
I apologize.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Cooper.
Yes, sir.
You say the instructions weren't clear. Come over here and tell me what you understood those instructions to tell you to do.
You got it, Your Honor.
Take your time.
Now, when I got the text, and I mean, this is where it gets kind of weird. When I got the text, he said, pull in the driveway and go through the door on the left. Right? So I pulled in, I went under the trees, and as you can see, Your Honor, there's 2 doors to the left. I went, I got my tools out, and I said, well, it's got to be this door. It can't be the front of the house. And the thing is, Your Honor, if I knew there was a dangerous, vicious dog in the house, I never would have went in there.
My son gave him specific instructions on where to enter. If he thought,
Your Honor, there wasn't
If
specific
he
instructions.
thought that the instructions wasn't clear, he should have retext my son. Can you clarify the directions?
I
And
fully
we would not
understood the
be-
directions.
No, you
If
just
you had a
couldn't
vicious
read.
dog in the house,
No.
you should have said something
Pancakes
about
is
it.
not-
Y'all at it again?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Gotta have order in the court. Miss Jenkins, Pancakes has never bitten anybody before.
Pancakes has never bitten anybody before.
Now, Miss Jenkins, you brought your son with you today,
Yes, Your Honor.
and his name is Mark.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jenkins, would you stand up, please, and come to the podium? Mr. Jenkins, you sent a text on behalf of your mom.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
What did you expect Mr. Cooper to do?
I expected Mr. Cooper to pull to the left side of the house to the front and go through the front door. He did not do that. He went to the left area of the house where she already stated where we keep the dog, Pancakes.
Did it surprise you that Pancakes bit Mr. Cooper?
No, he's a guard dog. If you just walk into our house unannounced, that's his job.
Did you tell him you had a guard dog?
No.
Now, Mr. Cooper, you had no idea there was a guard dog, right?
Well, and I tell you what, if I knew, I wouldn't have gone in that door.
So, Mr. Cooper, tell me about your injuries.
On my shin, they had to do a skin graft because one time he was biting my shin and I kicked it and just ripped the whole piece of flesh off. That's something I'd never heard before in my life.
Are you
flesh
kidding me?
ripping, you know? And then on my knee, he grabbed a hold of my knee.
That is a nasty, nasty wound. That's on your leg?
Yeah, and you can see how deep it went. I mean, every time I would try to get the dog off of me, it would rip my skin.
Miss Jenkins, you see, this was a very scary day for Mr. Cooper.
You're right, Your Honor. But at the end of the day, if he would have followed the instructions that my son texted him, it wouldn't have been a scary day for him.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you.
You can sit down. Thank you. You've submitted $18,000 in past medical expenses and then $12,000 for future medical expenses. So your journey's not over as to these injuries.
Well, no, I got physical therapy and there's still stitches in my leg right now. And my fingers right now, I can't clench them together, you know, to do like work on my job. And I mean, I don't know if it means anything or not, but I play guitar. I can't even play guitar anymore. I can't walk. I can't do my normal job. I can't even go to the bathroom at night without my cane. You know, now this is it. This is how I get around.
Mr. Cooper, in order to understand the nature of your injuries, the court has consulted Dr. Samantha Brown Parks. Sheriff, if you'll get Dr. Brown Parks in.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good day, doctor. How are you?
Good, Your Honor. How are you?
I'm doing well. Could you explain the nature of Mr. Cooper's injuries?
Mr. Cooper has several injuries, scratches and puncture wounds to his hands, his arm, and very impressively to his knee. So the dog punctured his skin and also tore back as he was puncturing. Dogs tend to bite and tear.
What's the actual mechanism of destroying the flesh?
Actually, I've brought a video. Can
Well,
I
let's
show
see it.
you? So this is an attack dog training video, and it shows the dog. It goes mostly for the limbs first, to bring its victim to the ground.
Okay.
So as it's pulling it down, it injects its canine teeth into the flesh and then does a back and forth motion with its neck to actually tear the skin loose.
So what's the future look like for him?
It would not be unusual for him to have multiple revisits for scar revision.
Doctor, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're released. We appreciate you. Ms. Jenkins, you don't seem like you take any blame for this.
At the end of the day, it was his fault because he shouldn't have walked through the wrong door.
Well, I want to understand this. Did you, your son, or anyone tell him that Pancakes, the guard dog, was there on your property?
Your Honor, can I show you something?
You brought something.
Yeah.
Sheriff,
I have
Matt,
right here.
will
It's
you
a
retrieve
work
that?
order, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm kind of...
Ms. Jenkins, did you see this work order?
Actually,
That is your signature, right?
yes, it is.
Is it fair for him to assume, looking at this work order, that there is not a dog on your premises?
I didn't check the box about a dog because a lot of times when you do, sometimes they don't send service people out. Sometimes because of the dog. So
And then
I
they do,
didn't.
so-
lie.
Yeah, but
they're
I did
eaten
not
by a
They're
check.
kind of worried
No,
about this
sometimes they
very
don't.
thing, though,
But
right?
at the end of the day, Your Honor, he went through the wrong door. I don't understand why he couldn't follow instructions.
I know that you walked through the side door and you were mauled by this dog.
Yes, sir.
But you gotta acknowledge that had you walked through the front door, you probably wouldn't have met me today.
No, I wouldn't have. And if I knew there was a dog on the premises, I wouldn't have walked in any door.
Folks, I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Mr. Cooper, must prove three things. You must prove that the defendant, Ms. Jenkins, did something wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing you must prove is that her wrong caused the third thing, your injuries. So it's like a three-legged stool. Here, you put up evidence that Ms. Jenkins had a vicious guard dog sequestered in a room. You didn't know the dog was there, and you also weren't clear about which door to go in. You went to the door to your left as you parked. And you now are requesting this court to award you a lot of money for your injuries and your future.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Jenkins, you all acted responsibly. Isolating Pancakes, had Mr. Cooper come to the right door, this never would have happened.
Yes, sir.
In fact, Pancakes has never bitten anyone before. The law recognizes something called the one-bite rule. That is, believe it or not, your dog does get one bite. After that, you as the dog owner are on notice that he can bite someone, and you would be liable if Pancakes had a history of snapping at or being aggressive. But that does not let you off the hook because you have a special dog. You have a dog in that vicious category, and it holds you strictly responsible when your dog hurts somebody. But in addition to that, your directions simply were not clear. I think it was responsible to give directions, but left depends on where you park. And in that regard, I find you responsible for Mr. Cooper's injuries. Mr. Cooper, I'm going to award you $18,000 for your past medical expenses, $12,000 for your future medical expenses, and $250,000 for your pain and suffering. I find in your favor in the amount of $280,000 and against Ms. Jenkins. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Gary Martin Hayes has to say.
In many situations, owners will not be held liable if their dog bites someone trespassing on their property. But the rules change when someone is invited onto a property, either for social reasons or for a business purpose. Here, Mr. Cooper was called to fix the air conditioning, and the defendant failed to warn him about the dog. The plaintiff was hurt as a result and proved that Ms. Jenkins' wrong caused his harm.
Thank you, Your Honor.